So today I was meant to film and record a podcast episode all about market research and the importance of it and, techniques to help you with that process. But this morning I had, for the first time in years, an episode of sleep paralysis. It may not be the correct diagnosis or whatever that I'm talking about, but essentially it's an experience where it's basically like the movie Inception, where I become trapped inside a dream. Consciously, I know I'm dreaming and I want to wake up, but no matter what, I can't. And so I stay stuck in this loop, and I even will then have a dream where I've believed that I've got up and gone about my day, only to then realize that I'm still in a dream. It's really disconcerting, and it's really stressful and really scary, because no matter what I try, I can't physically wake up. And when I eventually do get to that point where I am properly conscious and awake, it is not a pleasant feeling. And I tend to then get up and I feel groggy and I feel awful and my body's stressed and I'm anxious. Anyway, that happened this morning, and that's not what this video is about necessarily, but it's thrown me off the whole day. And it's made me feel really disconcerted, really disconnected, disorientated completely throughout the day. And I've been trying to use all my sort of techniques. So I went out and did journaling in the sunshine. I put my feet on the earth. I put music on, made sure that I've fed and watered myself properly and done all those things. And tried to just carry on with my day, really, because I know, I gave myself yesterday the day off, even though I ended up still working, because it was my birthday on Sunday. And I've done all those things, and I've been trying to hype myself up to get myself ready to film this podcast, because again, today is podcast day. And it's just not been happening. I've just not been able to force myself. And I think also it's because I've not wanted to force myself to do it. I've got to the point in my journey of self-healing or whatever, right? Self-awareness, that actually I don't want to necessarily always force myself through things, because I think it is reinforcing some sort of internal message that maybe it's not safe for me to feel these things. And I realize, not for the first time, but when things like this happen, I realize that for me, work is like a coping mechanism. Throwing myself into work, trying to just power through, is a coping mechanism, and often I end up just repressing the emotions that I am feeling. I don't have my watch on now, but I think it's 3:30. So I've just done a 10-minute yoga with Adrienne for anxiety and panic attacks. And halfway through it, I just started crying, tears just started flowing, and really understood that I've not felt safe since this morning, because I think the most disconcerting thing about the experience is that because I'm alone in the house, my husband's gone to work, the cats are usually off outside, I am alone and there's no one around that can help get me out of it. And usually what does break me out of those cycles of sleep paralysis is an actual sudden noise or something, or somebody coming in the room, or somebody knocking on the door, or hearing something that actually kind of triggers me out of it. And I think going through that experience this morning on my own is just terrifying. I've completely lost my point. Oh yeah, and I think it wasn't until I did yoga session just then that I really was able to identify that I still am carrying fear and panic within me, and trying to just push through isn't working because it's still in my body. So then trying to think about how can I do what market research, or even what am I trying to sell today, or what do I do for people? All those questions have felt so much harder and bigger than they need to be because of the emotional state that I've been in. So I wanted to record this video for two reasons, really. One, because I think it's really important for us to acknowledge that you can have the best laid plans in business. You can be as organized as you like. And when you are the business, you also have to deal with the fact that you are a human being that is going to experience things out of your control, that are going to trigger emotional responses that may be connected to certain other traumas in your past or whatever, these things are gonna come up. And if you're someone like me, throwing yourself into work, powering through, distracting yourself essentially with whatever it is a coping mechanism. And maybe in some instances it will help you actually get through it, but sometimes it's just too big and we do need to find ways to stop and pause. And for me, filming this video is actually, bizarrely, for whatever reason, a way for me to process my emotions in a way like that beats and exceeds every other method that I've tried. So journaling weirdly feels like it's good, but it feels like I get stuck in it and it makes things feel bigger. But actually expressing with my voice and actually the process, the fact I know that this is being recorded and the fact that, you know, I will almost certainly be publishing this video changes something about it. And I think it might come down to the fact that I feel less alone with it, and maybe that I'll be heard. And even if like nobody actually responds, I know it's out there and I know someone could hear it, and it makes me feel less alone, I suppose. So that's why I'm recording it, primarily for the two reasons. One, because I think it's important that we acknowledge this and more of us talk about it, instead of just consistently having this filter that everything's okay and that we can have clarity on all these things and we can have action plans and it's all just going to be fine, because that's just not the truth, or that's not my truth, at least. I experience like emotional turbulence all the freaking time, but we just don't talk about it, and I think it's harmful and it's damaging, because what we then see, even though consciously we know that other people's Instagram pages and other people's content and online business presences, even though we know it is filtered, even though we know we're not getting the full story, it's still hard on a subconscious level to make that distinction. So I can look at someone else who is showing up and I can compare myself to them and be like, oh my God, they've got it so together. They're showing up all the time. They're so consistent. Oh, Jesus, they must have their shit together and I obviously don't. Therefore, there is something that is wrong with me. And I don't think I'm alone in that thought process. So I think it's really important that we acknowledge that. And then, yeah, secondly, it just helps me. Sharing in this way just helps me. Helps me process. Helps me experience things, helps me actually confront what is going on in a way that doesn't feel distracting. It feels acknowledging, and it makes me feel less stuck. It makes me go from feeling like I am either frozen in a state of panic about it, and yeah, I get to this position where I feel like I'm stuck. Like emotionally, I either have to sit and deal with the emotions, which just feels overwhelming and I don't know what to do with it, and it's very much that freeze state, or I try and distract myself by going into like, you know, I'll just go work or I'll push through or whatever, and I struggle to know what the third route is. And weirdly, the third route is actual acknowledgement, actual expression, and sharing, so that I guess I feel less like a weirdo that goes through these things on my own. And also maybe that me putting this out there will help someone else. So yeah, I've not recorded a podcast on market research today, but this is part of the journey. And I'm hoping that this video is just as valuable, if not more so, for some people than me talking about market research would be. So yeah, thanks for listening.